it gives him places to stay. So these are the areas that police have on their radar. For familial ties, for friends and associates of Zimmerman. So don't panic if I say a city or an area that's close to you. These are just regions where the where the escaped prisoner has solid connections to. One, Reading, Berks County, Pennsylvania. He's had connections there for 9 years. Waterbury, Connecticut. In New Haven County, he has connections dating back 27 years. Waterford, New London County, Connecticut. He has connections dating back 2 years. I'm going to mispronounce this. Naugatuck, New Haven, I think, Connecticut. He has connections there for 5 years. Cannon City, Fremont County, Colorado. He has connections there for 1 year. Meriden, New Haven County, Connecticut. His family has connections there for approximately 35 years. Prospect, New Haven County, Connecticut. He has connections there for 1 year. Seffner, Hillsborough County, Florida. He has connections there for 10 years. Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida. He has connections there for 5 years. Lehigh Acres, Lee County, Florida. He has connections there for about 2 years. Plant City, Hillsborough County, Florida. He has connections there for approximately 1 year. Manchester, Hillsborough County, New Hampshire. He has connections there for about 3 years. So the states, it's a total of 12 regions, and I believe it is 4 new states, 5 states. It includes Pennsylvania, it includes Colorado, it includes, let me double check again. So it's Pennsylvania, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, and New Hampshire. Those are regions that the escapee has solid connections in. He is going, authorities keep saying that they believe he could be going to Connecticut. Now, if he goes to Connecticut, I'm going to be tweeting out routes of travel with truck stops, with rest areas to remain vigilant. If he is known to try to charm at least one woman. So if you see him alone, it might not be him, okay? He likely is traveling with a female, and they would resemble a couple. Now, the other scenario here is, and that is just about as solid as it gets, that he's staying with somebody that he was able to manipulate, like Ted Bundy. So if he loses that little connection that he made, the only option he has is to take a hostage, and he will hold somebody against their will with a gun. And you should look at people's facial expressions. If you're in any of these regions at a gas station and you see a couple, and you see somebody giving some kind of a sign, look at the guy, or in this case, a possible cross-dresser that the woman is with, and make sure that she's not giving you a signal to call the police. It's very possible that he can take a hostage and order her to act like a girlfriend, or he'll blow her head off. He doesn't care about when it comes down to it, if you threaten him with turning him in, he will kill you. From what I understand, is that the victim that he murdered in Houston, the problem with her was she might have been he took it as she was a threat to him, and that she was going to turn him in. That's what I'm hearing. So we have another Danilo situation, but this guy again surpasses him, because that wasn't his only victim here in America. When Danilo Cavalcante came to the U.S. and murdered Deborah, his girlfriend, in front of her poor children who witnessed it, he was wanted for a murder in Brazil, and she had threatened to turn him in, and that is why Danilo murdered his victim. Now, from what I understand, Joshua also murdered the girl because he thought that she was going to turn him in. He's very he has big trust issues. He thinks the world is against him, and it is, Joshua. The world doesn't like you. I mean, whenever I say a movie, we're not talking about where you come out looking cool. You're really just like a piece of crap, you know. And a cross-dressing serial killer is a very weird thing to want to be known for, but you did it. I mean, you got what you wanted. The problem here becomes the connections that this guy have to be cut immediately. It is not just about Zimmerman anymore. It is about how many people have used that network to bust out of prison that we haven't heard of. It took us, 10 days to find out that there was an escaped monster lurking the streets, possibly coming to our area on the other side of the country. There was nothing said. So that county is very interesting, and it makes you wonder, how long has that been going on? But again, guys, there really are no updates. If you see this guy, that would be amazing, because it's been almost 3 weeks. There have been 0 sightings of this guy. And that means, and it also indicates, that if you're in DeSoto County, so is he does not want to leave Mississippi per se from his, let me back it up. If he leaves Mississippi, he's getting death penalty, okay? Texas will pick him up and they'll give him the chair. That's what he's worried about. As far as anything else, he doesn't care, but he doesn't just want to get handcuffed and then given death. That's what the goal here is. They want to catch him and just send him to Texas, but Mississippi wants to keep him. If Mississippi holds him there, that's the situation we're having with, they're fighting over who gets him. He belongs in Texas, can handle Joshua Zimmerman perfectly. I think I trust Texas. Their system is amazing when it comes to people like Josh. They can give them whatever penalties they have. I think they're harsh, but that's where Zimmerman belongs. So hopefully he gets caught outside of Mississippi. That's very unlikely, guys. He is very likely, because he knows that as soon as he steps foot in Memphis, it's game on. And at that point, it is a federal situation. Right now, Mississippi still has full control, because the last confirmed sighting is DeSoto County. They say he's possibly in Memphis, but that possibility is a stretch, and even they know it, because all they have is an individual's word that the individual gave Zimmerman a ride there. Now, the problem with that is Zimmerman was in the car. So Zimmerman did go somewhere. We don't know if it's Memphis, because there's just nothing there that shows him. There's not an iota of evidence in Memphis. And the last sighting is DeSoto County. So right now, chances are extremely high that he is very close to that courthouse. And when I say very close, I'm saying within a 10-minute drive. He didn't leave. He didn't go toward Tennessee, because if he does, he is that amplifies it, and it also cuts his clock. Literally, it turns into a timing. It'll turn into a ticking time bomb with this guy. The feds want the case. They can't get the case because it's a state situation. As soon as this dude crosses out, now there are technicalities where they can take the case for obvious reasons. Number one being the way he escaped. The government can do what they want, and they don't want to have to kind of play that tug of war. Right now, there are so many agencies after this guy that I wouldn't be surprised if when they capture him, we don't hear about it for 2 days, because they drive him secretly to Texas. They are trying to end Zimmerman and his little reign. It's become, it's an obvious problem. We're on day 19. The last sighting was 19 days ago. And if you listen closely to what the DA said at the press conference, it makes you really wonder what happened. Now, these are his words. He said, and this is the last time we heard from him. We haven't seen him since. And again, keep in mind the CIA did send one individual, an agent, to be on the case. So they're on the manhunt. The DA says that essentially, he said an outside entity, but not the state of Mississippi, came in and took the evidence. Now, think about that. He's comparing the people that stole the evidence to the state of Mississippi. He's essentially saying he's comparing the criminals that did this to the state. Now, that is just a little, if he left that part out, it would make sense. Say he said that he had assistance from an organization, then I would think organized crime. That leads you to assume the normal stuff. Not that normal, who robs a courthouse, but you don't assume that it's the government. Now, when he said an outside entity, not the state of Mississippi, came in, why did he have to clarify that the state of Mississippi is not a suspect? That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. He essentially said that Mississippi, the state, is not a suspect, but another state is. How do you suspect a state? Are you saying that Texas Rangers came in overnight and kidnapped Zimmerman? It makes no sense. But then when you think about it, the surveillance went missing. He hasn't been seen in 20 days almost. He vanished. The CIA is involved. This guy has a rap sheet longer than, he has a rap sheet longer than Eminem's raps, okay? This guy is everywhere. And the DA said an outside entity, but not Mississippi, did this. And the public has to figure out what happened for themselves. This is what's interesting. The guy literally, those were his final words, and that was 19 days ago. We haven't heard from him since. But he kind of said, you guys got to figure it out. You deserve to know and all. But All I can tell you is it's not us, it's not Mississippi, but it was an outside entity. What? How ridiculous. How stupid do they think the people of Mississippi are? They are literally taking you people for fools. They're saying the craziest stuff. This dude, and then he goes on, I mean, it's better sometimes not to give a press conference, especially if you're going to insinuate that another state came into your state and kidnapped an inmate. It makes no sense. Maybe that's the message he gave. He said not another entity, or another entity, but not the state of Mississippi. It's interesting. But nonetheless, there are 0 sightings. The search, though the regions have expanded to stay on the lookout in those regions, it remains very focused on DeSoto County because that's how these people operate. They don't get far. They want people to think they got far. And they all do the same thing. It's almost impossible to plan the perfect prison escape because it just hasn't happened. Maybe... And if it did, we didn't hear about it, so I can't really say it hasn't happened. But we weren't supposed to hear about the DeSoto thing. I'll tell you that the way they released the press release and said this guy is suspected of possibly trying to kill somebody who's still alive. The ball was dropped like 32 times in this case. He escaped, ball dropped. They watched the surveillance, and then they went to check on him. Surveillance is gone, ball dropped. They went to the cloud, ball dropped. They then released a poster saying that this guy's bad, but not that bad, ball drop. And then 18 days in, they say, okay, guys, he's wanted for murder and rape. And we'll leave it at that. Let's not add everything else yet. We're just going to keep adding as we go. I mean, the guy is getting a thrill out of the run. He wants, from what I hear, and this is coming from those that were closest to him, he likes the attention. He wants to be known as this weirdo from a movie kind of thing. He wants to be Ted Bundy. But even Ted Bundy isn't this sick. Ted Bundy wouldn't go through the lengths this guy is going through, and I feel that even other like serial killers like Rex Zimmerman might even call this guy sick. Rex has a specific victimization group. This guy doesn't. He doesn't care what you are. He doesn't care if you're a guy or girl, white, black, Hispanic. Victimization group. This guy doesn't. Very likely in DeSoto County right now. And keep an eye out on your neighbors. If you see somebody suspicious, say, somebody that doesn't live at the home with the person that lives at the home, if there's a single mom that now has a, let's say, boyfriend at the house, and you know that mom is not in a relationship, keep an eye out. It's just, Zimmerman has some very crazy connections where he's not going to be hiding in the woods. He's not going to be hiding behind a car. He's going to be sleeping in a house. He's going to be having breakfast in the morning. He's going to be having lunch, and he's watching the news. This guy it's just impossible to be, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, the United States has the best surveillance that there is. The best. Maybe they don't brag about it. Maybe they don't show it off. This guy hasn't been seen in 19 days. That means he hasn't gone through an easy pass. He hasn't been at a red light. The CIA, they are the top intelligence agency in the country. If they're having problems finding this dude, we've got a problem, a big problem. Because that means that they, like I said, I mean, as far as where the car was found, they scoured the area and they pooled all the surveillance in that little Memphis region, and there's just nothing there. It makes no sense. This guy vanished into thin air, which is impossible, or he stayed in DeSoto County, which is very possible. They don't have any imaging of him leaving the county. They have him leaving the courthouse, and that's it. That's all they have, which means that the search is still very focused on DeSoto County. Keep in mind he has very high up connections. Keep in mind that he is able to maneuver literally right in front of you, and you wouldn't be able to tell. You could be in your backyard cooking, barbecuing, and your neighbor is helping the killer. We just don't know what to look for, who to look for, or where to really look, except DeSoto County. That's where everything circles back, because he just couldn't have made it out and then not be seen for 19 days. It's unheard of. By now, it's very unheard of. They don't withhold information like that, so they truly haven't seen him in 19 days. That's a fact. And that's a scary fact, because it means that he can literally just hang out in a home until they find him. And if he has help, say somebody is working a full-time job right now, he can be with them for over a year, unless they go house to house. So be on the lookout for any suspicious behavior in your neighborhoods. If you live in DeSoto County, be on the lookout at truck stops, at gas stations, at rest areas. on all the highways, on the way home, everywhere you go. Just always keep in mind, if you're in that region, that there is a vile criminal on the loose and he is hiding in plain sight. There is a reward of $20,000 for information leading to his arrest. You can remain anonymous. The U.S. Marshals call them. Dog the Bounty Hunter has also set up a hotline for tips for individuals who don't feel comfortable talking to the police, which is fine. People sometimes don't want to talk to the police for whatever reasons, and that's fine, as long as there is a line of communication somewhere where we can get that information to the authorities anonymously for you. That's what we do. We just want all the tips to go to the right people, which is the U.S. Marshals, the task forces that are involved in the manhunt. And that's, at the end of the day, the goal is to spread awareness. The more people that know what Zimmerman looks like, the more people that know how dangerous he is, the faster we're going to catch him, and the faster he'll be off the streets. There are a lot of people who can't sleep at night until this man is caught. He has victimized people from coast to coast, and they don't know where he is. That's the worrying part. It's not just one or two victims. You have families across the United States right now that are living in fear because this man, this monster, this coward is on the loose. People are losing sleep, and others don't even know about it. Others will find out about it in the wrong way if Zimmerman, God forbid, kills somebody to further his escape. If he gets desperate, that being the person that helped him or that's helping him right now, showing any sign of being a traitor to him, he will kill that person and then take a hostage. And that's when a lot of people are going to learn the name Zimmerman. And we don't want that. We don't want people to know who he is when it hits the fan, because it should have hit the fan 19 days ago. It's as if they're waiting for him to now take a hostage before they really push it. And I'm not saying authorities. I'm talking about the media, the local media, and the national media. If that's what they want, they're very close to it. But the problem is this: if people get killed out of Mississippi and not in that little region, the blood should be on the hands of the media, who are supposed to be informing the surrounding states. People in other regions have no idea that there's a killer on the loose, but they do know that Trump and Biden had a great debate and it was hilarious. Ha ha. But the killer might come in your house and kill you. They don't know that part, and that's a problem. They are not prioritizing what they need to. If the man was wanted for a DUI, I'm sure that would have been on the front page, but he's not. He's potentially a serial killer. Just because they are late to the party doesn't mean they shouldn't show up. We need to share this guy's face, tag all of your local news outlets, start hitting up the national media. It's interesting that nobody's touching the story when this man is going to harm people. It's not a joke. The marshals don't up rewards just to up them. It's going to go up again this either this week or by Monday. And for us to get the fact that they are not expanding the search but adding that many cities is a little bit petrifying when you think about it. They have no clue where he is, and the media is not helping at all. So it is really the job of social media. That's how we blew up the 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 see the light of day again. That guy's never gonna, he'll be lucky to get a court date. He is in solitary for the next 15 years for that little stunt. And he didn't embarrass the system. He just pissed off the government because he was able to zaboomafoo his way around the wilderness. Zimmerman embarrassed the government. He exposed corruption by mistake. I wouldn't be surprised if the people that he paid to get him out are now trying to kill him because they're about to get caught. This is the craziest escape that I've ever heard of. I don't think it makes any sense the way that it went down. If you just back it all the way up and start at the top, guy commits all these crimes, gets caught in Mississippi, walks out of the courthouse, somebody walks in. Now, the DA alleges that while he was walking out, some outside entity, not the state of Mississippi, broke in. Now, so he breaks out, they break in, they steal the surveillance, he skips town with a weapon, but he doesn't skip town because they can't confirm that. And then the people of that outside entity managed to make it into the building during an escape, get to the surveillance room, get to the IT room, and leave. So what lockdown? That would mean that the building was never locked down. So if there is people are good, but only movies are that good. This was a clear inside job, and it was just too perfect that it exposed a big problem in that region. Again, if you see this individual, do not approach, do not apprehend, call 911. call the U.S. Marshals, or you can call Dog the Bounty Hunter's tip line as well. Every tip matters. Every post matters. Share this monster's face. Share his charges. Let's get him caught. Let's make this the final week of this manhunt before somebody else gets killed. I'll talk to you guys soon. There are no big updates about the manhunt.